Hey, you. Yeah, you ain't doing nothing. You know why? Because it's Tuesday. Nobody's doing anything on a Tuesday night, except for Echoplex Media and Local Love. Local Love is a San Jose and Greater San Francisco Bay Area independent music podcast, showcasing local bands, comedians, and artists for the last 7 years. Every show is packed with local music, upcoming shows and gigs, plus live performances and interviews with local artists. Tune in every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Check out our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.
In this world, accessible to kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She lives in a pool, let it cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The polygammatic put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the fucking spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Plex. Welcome, podcast listeners. We usually do this show from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific and beyond into red light. But today at 6:30 p.m. here in the fine city of San Jose, California, the ambient temperature in this studio was still approaching 100 degrees. So we pushed the show back tonight. We started at 9, and it's just going to go till whenever it goes. You can find me on Grindr. I'm producer Dave. And this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Like your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Like your local police got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks. Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
All right, our first story tonight is, well, a bunch of stories, actually. The right-wing media sphere is still talking a bunch of dumb shit about the search warrant that was served at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. And here is the first example of that. Apparently, it was to distract from gas prices.
And the timing of this, when we have 40-year high inflation, when we have the highest gas prices that Americans have seen during this administration, when we have an open southern border with all of the crises that have happened during this administration, they needed a little bit of a distraction. And this was prime opportunity for this administration to pounce on President Trump, make it about this raid rather than about the own problems they have manufactured in the last 2 years.
Senator.
So there was no raid. It was a search warrant was served. A raid looks very different than what happened there. But also, like, this idea that, like, if some other shit's going on, that the DOJ shouldn't enforce the law or whatever. Like, I've never understood that. Never understood that at all. Maybe I'm just a simple person who thinks if we're going to have, like, a law and order state of some kind, that it should just always be operating in much the same way as it was the day before. Assuming it's operating well or fairly. Anyway, next up we have, people are going to talk about the Presidential Records Act. I don't know very much about the Presidential Records Act, and I don't think that the people we're going to be watching talk about the Presidential Records Act do either.
She would consider having a special master come in, and then the DOJ jumped in quickly and said, well, we've already been through all the documents, and we've already allocated which ones fall under the attorney-client privilege. So sort of no need for the special master. We've already done that, that categorizing. What do you say to that?
Right. Well, they're incredibly efficient sometimes. It's odd. And look, they obviously moved very fast on this. They had an opportunity to use the unilaterally imposed filter team. You know, we didn't have a voice on how they set up a filter team. And now they are trying to suggest with this pleading, like, Judge, don't be surprised that we've already taken care of all this. Nothing to see here. Well, we're not in a position where we can really have a lot of faith in that. We still need judicial intervention. We need a judge to monitor our access to these documents. We haven't had a single phone call from the filter team telling us anything. This is the first knowledge we had about their findings on attorney-client privilege. They've decided to ignore the concept of executive privilege, which is an interesting wrinkle. They're ignoring...
I think the executive privilege only applies to the executive branch that's currently in power. I don't think you can invoke it after you're done.
Incredibly important overlay for all of this. So we have a lot of problems really accepting everything at face value that's coming out of DOJ these days. It's a very politicized place, I'm sad to say. And there's still a need for a judge to get involved on every aspect of this, checking their assertions of privilege, but also giving us fair, timely access, letting us build a case for why this search warrant was not only essentially morally wrong, but legally wrong.
Okay, well, like, they don't have to do any of that yet. I don't think anybody's been charged with a crime yet. So, like, discovery happens like a long time after somebody's charged with a crime. Like, this guy is, I'm assuming he's an attorney, so he's probably just lying about the nature of the process. Because you don't just get discovery as soon as the place is searched. And that's sort of what he's suggesting should happen here. He also mentioned executive privilege. I don't even like the idea that the president or the president's office can invoke executive privilege and then not answer questions in front of Congress. I think that's sort of contrary to sort of the Separation of Powers Act and the idea that we have checks and balances in the government. But that's neither here nor there. That's a discussion for another day. But I think everything this guy said was wrong. Like, I don't think you can invoke executive privilege when you're no longer in office. And I don't think executive privilege extends to, like, stealing classified documents on your way out the fucking door when the next guy's coming in. I'm not a law expert, but I would hope it doesn't extend to that, because that's, you know, not great. Not great. Up next, we got Alan Dershowitz. He's like, everybody's gonna fucking get dershed if they fucking deal with Trump. Even Alan Dershowitz knows that Trump is toxic.
His team, or do you share concerns about the caliber of his legal team?
I share concerns. Look, I'm not going to second guess a lawyer. There are some very good lawyers. I can tell you that 6 lawyers so far have called me and have said, we will not defend Trump, even though we'd like to, because of what happened to you, Alan Dershowitz, because you have been canceled. You can't speak at various places. You can't speak in your own library. People won't speak to you. People are furious at you. I had a lawyer say to me, I just don't want to be Dershowitzed. I've become a verb. And there was a deliberate attempt to try to cancel me because I defended President Trump in order to send a message, and it's been successful, to other lawyers not to go near the case. It's pure McCarthyism of the left, and it should not be tolerated or accepted. That's why I wrote my book, The Price of Principle.
Yeah, none of these lawyers want to take this case because, first of all, there's no case, right? Nobody's been charged with a crime. So I don't even, like, what are the lawyers doing? What are his lawyers doing? They're just going on TV, actually, as far as I can tell. We're going to see a little of that in a minute. But until you're charged with a crime, I don't even think, I mean, you might want to get legal representation if you were in his position. I would suggest that one would, if you know you're under investigation. Not the worst idea to get lawyers. But if other lawyers don't want to get involved in this shit because they're like, oh, we saw what happened to you. I mean, Dershowitz wasn't just the guy's lawyer. He was like his pal and shit too. So it's not just like he was like a disinterested party offering Trump legal representation as folks are entitled to under the Constitution. He was his pal, his buddy, his pal. And so that's like a different scenario. I don't know why you'd want to be Trump's friend. I'm having to say Ivanka's a 10 all the time. Here we go. We got Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan probably is familiar with seeking a legal protection himself. He's going to talk about the inspector general providing oversight over the DOJ or whatever. I don't know. We'll get it from this guy's mouth here.
Whistleblowers come to us and talk about the political pressure they're under. And now we see that it may be in the inspector general's office. By statute, the inspector general is supposed to provide independent oversight of the Justice Department. Well, how can you do that if you're participating in an investigation? Sean, understand what happened here. The FBI came to the inspector general and said, we're going to take the phone of a sitting member of Congress. We're going to take his phone one day after we have raided President Trump's home, and we're going to do it while Congressman Perry is on vacation with his family. The inspector general should have said to them, are you freaking out of your mind? This has got all kinds of constitutional concerns. You should not do it. But if you do, we will not participate.
I know it was on that phone.
Instead, he said, go ahead and do it, and we'll image the phone. That is frightening because they're supposed to be providing the independent oversight of the Justice Department. So, yeah, there's politics at the DOJ. There's certainly politics at the FBI, as evidenced by all the whistleblowers, almost 20 that have come to the 3 respective offices. But now we have to have concerns about the inspector general as well.
Either everyone's out to get you and there's a grand conspiracy to, tar and feather you, or the shit was bad and the weight of the government is coming down on you because the shit was bad. I think it's probably the second one. I don't think the inspector general is maybe the inspector general kind of looked over everything the FBI was going to do and they're like, yeah, that all seems to be reasonable. Where do I sign? This guy doesn't know. We don't know. I don't even know what the fuck the inspector general does. I don't even think Jim Jordan does either. Like, I think these people are just they're just like repeating some shit they heard somewhere else. I don't know anything about the Trump thing because we're not going to know anything right away because nobody's been charged with a crime. And if he's never charged with a crime, then we're probably never going to fucking know. It'll be years and years and years and years and years and years and years until we're able to like FOIA that stuff. And it'll all be redacted. So this next clip, it's childish that I decided to use it, but whatever. We can be childish sometimes around here. This is Melania Trump's drawers are in complete disarray. Not from Donald, though.
Successful in their attempt to interfere in an election and sway people's vote. And that is exactly what happened. That was then. And now you can see that their tactics have become even bolder. They've become emboldened, I think, while the Democrats have been in power. Obviously, the latest example is rifling through Melania's closet and drawers, which I hear they left in complete disarray.
Everybody. Donald ain't never left Melania's drawers in complete disarray, but the fucking FBI sure did. Oh, man. I don't even know. Here we go. It could be, actually, everybody. Maybe we've got this all wrong. Trump's just writing a memoir.
To enforce whatever they were trying to do. I understand that former presidents, former Secretary of States may very well have classified information. He may be writing a memoir. He may be writing an autobiography.
No, actually, when you quit those jobs, you don't just get to take classified information with you, like when you retire at like some big company and they give you a fucking watch. When you retire from the CIA or the FBI or some shit, they don't just give you an eyes-only packet to take with you. What the fuck?
The fact that he had documents in and of itself isn't a concern. How he treated those documents and what negotiations occurred with the archivist, we just don't know at this point.
No. My understanding is that they kept asking for the back and he like just wasn't responding. So there wasn't really much negotiation going on there. They tried to just let him give the shit back. He wouldn't give the shit back. And then they looked at the stuff from what I can tell. And they were like, oh, whoa, we didn't know this was here. They were like, oh, they're like empty like envelopes that appear to have once contained classified information. Like, where did the documents that were once in those envelopes go? Did he just shred them? Did he frame them? Are they on his wall somewhere? I bet he framed some of that shit. He's weird. Anyway, here's Bill Barr. Bill Barr is trying to get the stink of Trump off of him real bad. And I don't think he's ever going to do it because he was complicit in so much of what Trump was doing right up until the point where he was like, well, I guess I kind of got to not do this one. And then he resigned. So here's Bill Barr trying to get the stink of Trump off of him.
I think the answer to that is?
I personally think for them to have taken things to the current point, they probably have pretty good evidence. But that's speculation. And until we see that, it's hard to say. Now, let me just say, I think the driver on this from the beginning was loads of classified information sitting in Mar-a-Lago. People say this was unprecedented. Well, it's also unprecedented for a president to take all this classified information and put him in a country club. Okay.
Like, I don't like that slime ball, but that's a pretty fun. I wonder if he practiced that. I wonder if he practiced that line before. He was like, I gotta deliver this line.
As long as the government going to try to get that back, they jawbone for a year. They were deceived on the voluntary actions taken. They then went and got a subpoena. They were deceived on that. They feel. And the facts are starting to show that they were being jerked around. And so how long do they wait?
To the control room, I want to go.
I mean, this guy, like rats from a sinking ship, right? This guy, he didn't, like, when he left he could have stood tall and been like, here's why I'm resigning. I'm resigning because of these reasons, and you need to remove the president from office. I have to resign. He didn't do none of that. He didn't go stand tall. He didn't go make no speeches or do the rounds on the on the Sunday shows to explain exactly what he was doing. And so now he's just trying to shoe polish his reputation a little bit after it done been fucked up. Here's Charlie Kirk with Trump's attorney, and they're going to talk about just, a little bit of mundane espionage among friends.
And they say themselves in these papers that they filed that this is under the Presidential Records Act. So what they did was to try and criminalize Donald Trump, as they always do. They found these 3 mundane statutes, espionage and the 2 others, obstruction, and they're trying to claim that there was some sort of criminal activity, but their papers say it's under the Presidential Records Act. So your admission is the power that we've all been saying he does have. So you can take a picture of top secret documents, Charlie, and show the world a label. But if they're declassified, as he has the right to do, then he has the right to have them. And he was working together with NARA, as we know. And that back and forth could have been done at a table as they had been doing for months prior.
Or that didn't happen. Because declassified documents, there's got to be some fucking paperwork or something you do. I'm not a declassification expert, but I figure you got to fill out a form. If I got to fill out a form at the DMV to change my address on my ID, figure there's a form or some shit you got to fill out to declassify a document. I don't think you get to just be like, oh, declassified now, presidential privilege or whatever. I don't think you get to do that. I'm not an expert, though. If maybe somebody around here is a constitutional lawyer, some kind of legal expert, they could let me know. You comment under the podcast or whatever. Leave me a 1-star review. Here is a video montage of Steve Bannon clearly not using the phone system that Kyle Schenk, that we met through the Majority Report, actually installed for us. His shit just doesn't work.
We really got to keep the trains running on time today, and I've got nothing but hitters on this show.
Boris, we got you to try it again. Okay, not working. Do we have the tweets from Josh Hawley? Yes. Okay, can we go ahead and put it up? God, don't need to be so snippy. Tell you what, we lost Boris. We're going to have to reboot. Let's reboot Boris. We'll go to break. Okay, hang on. Can we reboot? That's not working. Let's go ahead and drop it, and we'll try to reboot it later. So we're going to have to reboot you. Can we reboot this? We're going to reboot. Try to reboot that? Reboot. Yeah. Let's reboot you. Can we reboot that? Let's go ahead and reboot. Let's try to reboot her. Let's try to reboot Ben. If we can just try to reboot him. After screaming in my staff, Chris Kobach. Okay, do we have is Kobach on mute? Chris?
Great job.
Yeah, we just lost Bernie. Yeah.
Bye.
We might have lost Kelly. Yeah. Do I have Julie Kelly?
Oh.
I think we lost it again. Okay, we don't have her. Go to mypillow.com. Okay, let's just go to break. We'll get this thing fixed up. Okay, I apologize for all the screw-ups. Producer?
Do I have anybody up at all? 'Cause I want to keep the show going. Just tell me who we got. Okay, fine. Do we have the clips ready? Okay, I don't have time to hold on. Let's bring in Terry Schilling. Okay, if you don't have them, which you told me you did, you have them? Yes. You have them? You sure? You sure you have them? Okay, I'll be nice. Can't juggle. Man, Cameron, Magic Cameron. Ooh, doggy.
I do all this by myself. Bringing guests by myself. None tonight, but I bring in guests by myself. I do it all by myself. And my shit just works. I just do it all on one fast-ass computer, and it just works. I don't know what this guy's trying to do over there, but it ain't working. They need to redo their system. They probably need to install Linux. I'm not available for contract work for people like Steve Bannon. Although, if I started like an LLC or whatever, I could, in fact, do it without you knowing and charge him an exorbitant amount of money to show somebody over there how to use Video Ninja. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not dishonest. So, Trump, 2024, already stopping atrocities all over the world.
Russia's stuck in the embarrassment of a Ukraine quagmire. They could have taken Ukraine inside of 3 weeks, but didn't. They're holding back. Why? China's too scared to invade Taiwan. They're holding back. Why? The FBI should have been able to devour Mar-a-Lago and Trump once and for all. The FBI has never launched a full-scale raid without an arrest. 2 weeks out, they've got...
It was just a search warrant, lady.
They're holding back. Why? The reason Russia, China, and the Democrats' DOJ are all holding back.
I like how their overlay is really good, where they bring up an image of Trump and, like, you can't even really see his face because they have this, I don't know, time to sue every FBI looter at Mar-a-Lago.
Because they don't know what Trump is going to do with them in 2025. The greatest advantage the entire world has against evil actors right now is that Donald Trump remains more powerful as a sitting candidate for president than anyone in 4 generations. The threat of Trump's return is doing more right now to restore the balance of power on the national and international stage than anything the insulting high-heel limping men in dresses in
oh, come on,
could possibly do. While Biden went hat in hand begging the Saudis for oil.
I mean, I don't know if it was like that, but yeah, you got to buy oil from somebody, I guess. And it, like how she had to just put that transphobic shit like right there. It had nothing to do with what she was talking about. She just knows that plays really well with her audience. So she had to put it there. She had no choice. She's on OAN. She has to always do the crazy. So up next, we got Trump being interviewed actually on, I don't know, Body by somebody. And he's going to claim that the FBI was actually looking for Hillary's emails at Mar-a-Lago.
But I think they were looking for Hillary Clinton emails. I think they thought, and who knows, you know, boxes full of stuff. I think they thought
you've got the goods.
Hillary Clinton, they were something to do with the Russia hub.
Right on.
They were
like, look, she doesn't even believe him. Look at her body language. She's like, whatever, dude.
Part of their scam material, because that's what they are, the scammers.
Agreed.
And they would think that things were in there having to do with, can you imagine Hillary?
Like, I think her body language said to me that she's not buying it. I don't think I think she was like, what, dude? She wasn't going to say anything, I don't think, but I don't think she was convinced by that man. So there's a bunch of clips in this next one. We're probably not going to do more than a couple of them, but this Trump, I guess, gave a speech yesterday, actually. And, I mean, you know, it was something.
You remember in the campaign, I used to say, if these people get in, we're going to end up with Venezuela on steroids. I said it many, many times. I never thought it was much of a possibility, but I never knew people could cheat like that. Not like that. Last week, he's a weirdo, Mark Zuckerberg came to the White House, kissed my ass.
Wait, what?
Kissed my ass. Sure, I'd love to have dinner.
Wait, what? Why are the people in the crowd cheering? What he said is like, what the fuck?
Sure, I'd love to have dinner. I'd love to bring my lovely wife. All right,
Ivanka?
Mark, come on in. Sir, you're #1 on Facebook. I'd like to congratulate you. Oh, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it. Weirdo.
What the fuck? Last week, Mark Zuckerberg didn't go to the White House. And if he did, Donald Trump wasn't there. I think he's trying to claim that maybe Mark Zuckerberg came to dinner at Mar-a-Lago. But I think if that happened, everybody would have known about it too. And I mean, I don't like Mark Zuckerberg, but he's no dumb fuck. I mean, he's a dumb fuck in some ways, actually. But he's not dumb enough to go to dinner at Mar-a-Lago after that search happened. No fucking way. There's no fucking way that any like head of any large company in the United States is going to go to Mar-a-Lago after that search warrant was conducted. They're just not going to do it. Here's him talking about 2020. Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. I believe so too, but just for an entirely different reason.
According to pollsters, it made a 10 to 20 point difference, not even including all of the other totally determinative evidence of illegality that was found having to do with the 2020 presidential election scam, including ballot stuffing and not adhering to the laws, rules, and regulations of state legislatures, which is totally illegal. They just did whatever they wanted to do. And frankly, Republicans locally that ran things in a lot of states should be ashamed of themselves. Should be ashamed of themselves. And a guy like Mitch McConnell, who allowed this stuff to happen, should be scorned. He should be scorned. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and now our country is being destroyed by people who got into office through cheating and through fraud. Now watch. The cameras will all turn off as soon as I say that, because they're not allowed to put that on. The cameras...
They're allowed to put you saying that on, actually.
They'll all turn off. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. You know why? But Republican leadership just doesn't fight because in many cases, they are intimidated and they're afraid. They're actually afraid. Republicans must get tougher and stronger and fast.
That was crazy too. We're going to do one more. Here's an anti-electric car rant that he did.
Oh, when I was in office, gas was $1.87.
Where? But that was the lowest point when you were in office. What was the highest point that gas was when you were in office?
And we weren't talking about going to all electric cars, which are twice as expensive. I mean, the problem is, a friend of mine wanted to do something for the environment. He went out and bought an electric car. And he made a certain trip, I won't say from where, Kentucky. I won't say from where. And he's a good person. He wants to do what's well. Now he understands, not so good. And he bought an electric car, and he made the trip often from Kentucky to Washington, and he made it, and he'd drive down and put the car away and drive back. He was getting like 38 miles a gallon, and it was fine. And then he goes to hybrids and all the other things that he can do. But he wanted to go all electric because he wants to save our country, wants to save the atmosphere. And he called me, he said, I'm exhausted. Why? He said, this damn trip took me forever. I'd drive for 2 hours and then I'd have to have my car charged. And in 2 cases, I couldn't find a place to charge it, but even if I could, it took me more time to charge the damn car than I could spend in it driving. He said
but he was getting 38 miles to the gallon.
It took me 2.5 times. Please, please, let's get rid of this stuff.
Okay, so first of all, if you're going to drive like a long road trip and you have an electric car, you do have to do some planning. If you'd only drove for 2 hours and the car ran out of charge, either his foot was in it, like just in it, like he was just accelerating, or he got like a small car that is designed for like being in a city. Like that Nissan Leaf doesn't have a huge range because it's designed to be driven around the city. So it just sounds like his friend's an idiot. which is one possibility. The other possibility is that that's just some shit that never happened. He made it up, and he made it up. That's it. Here's another ghoul trying to somehow salvage their reputation. This is Ann Coulter. She has a podcast called Trump's Done, and here's what she has to say.
Influencing certain conservative outlets on TV and radio is everybody they hear from is one of the, diehard, the few dwindling remaining Trump fanatics. But after the election and then after January 6th, normal people, I'm not a normal person. I'm a political nut, and I stopped paying attention to politics. It's just a drag.
Well, I'm glad you stopped paying attention to politics because you're a fucking ghoul. And we got Trump is a psyop, actually. Trump's not real, and this was all just a trick. It was played on dumb people.
Maybe Donald Trump was right and the government's wrong. Could that be possible?
I don't necessarily agree with that. No, I think what happened in the first segment is that I proved that this Mar-a-Lago raid is just another smoke and mirrors of Donald Trump being used to distract people from what's really going on. And the fact is that Donald Trump is not who he says he is. He's controlled opposition. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And frankly, he's a coward.
Whoa, he's controlled opposition. That sounds like the fucking chemtrails people all arguing with each other and shit. You're a psyop. That person's controlled opposition. That person works for the government and they're trying to discredit our movement or whatever. That's like just fucking boilerplate conspiracy theorist infighting. The flat earthers all did it. They all hate each other. The fucking the chemtrail people all hate each other. I don't know. The people who were freaking out about Jade Helm in 2015 all probably thought each other were government agents. Like, this is what happens in a movement when your movement is based on paranoia, fear, and hate, is that you all end up hating each other. I think that's like one of the better things about the chemtrails and other conspiracy movements is that the people all end up hating each other, and so they're able to do less damage. So that's pretty much the end of the Trump segment tonight. I'm sure everybody's glad about that. Here's Kellyanne Conway. And she's right. I feel like some people have made some character assessments. Here's what she has to say.
This is a pattern. Barack Obama, 14 years ago, people are clinging to their guns, their God, their religion. Hillary Clinton, the deplorables, and even worse, irredeemable. Andrew Cuomo, well, he was still governor, saying if you're pro-life, you shouldn't be in New York. Kathy Hochul, his successor, just as bad a governor, really. She said this weekend, if you're a Republican, you don't belong in New York, go to Florida. Why are you castigating and denigrating our fellow men, our fellow brothers and sisters? And I just want your viewers to know, folks, they think they're better than you. It's very simple. It's everything you said about climate and abortion. It's everything Kayleigh said, of course. But it's also, they actually look down upon you. They don't think that you're like them. They don't want their kids to go to school with yours. They don't want you to live in their neighborhoods. They don't want you to work in their industries. They think they're better than you. And in the end, Sean, they don't realize that their obsession with getting one man with Donald Trump means they've never taken 1 second to get to know the 74 million Trump voters. They don't know a thing about them.
I mean, it would take longer than a second to get to know 74 million people. It would take more than a second to get to know anybody. But this is one of the things we talk about on the Big Show. We call this the Big Show because it's the big news show of the week. But the Big Show, the one that gets all the downloads, the intellectual Dollar Tree, is that a lot of people get real mad when folks start observing patterns of behavior and then making character assessments. They get hella mad at that. All them logic boys and IDW people and fucking new atheists and YouTube skeptics and shit. Everything's on the table except character assessments. And it's a pretty good strategy, and the right-wing ghoulosphere is picking up on it. I don't think it's an honest strategy. I just mean effective when I say good. Speaking of character assessments, I've made a few character assessments about the person who is running against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I want to give a shout out to Verigo Kennedy, one of our favorite researchers, I guess, researchers of extremism on Twitter. Well, she put me on to this lady. Her name's Tina Forte, and this is what it is.
Started and where I am right now, facing off with AOC. I'm the real Bronx girl. I'm the real girl that was born and raised in the Bronx. I'm the real girl that's going to take her on because I'm a fiery broad, and I will call her out for everything that she is.
Yeah, and Tina, I guess our question is, I think many people's questions, how
I have some questions
to beat AOC. I think many people would like to hear what you have in mind because you clearly have very, very different points of view.
Yes, well, I'm going to beat her. She won by grassroots, and I'm going to beat her by those same grassroots because people in the district have had enough. I petitioned there twice. I've spoken to plenty of people in the district. I was born there, raised there. My family's there. I have my businesses here. I know this district, and I know that the crime is out of control. Look at our schools. Look at our streets. Look at our...
If you're concerned with local issues, maybe you should have started by running for city council, Tina, because those are... City council, or maybe the county board of supervisors, that kind of thing. That would be how you would address these local issues. Just real quick, Tina, you would be, if you were to beat AOC, which I think you will lose 3 or 4 to 1, but if you were to beat AOC, you'd be setting federal policy. You wouldn't actually be setting policy for the Bronx. I mean, the federal policy applies to the Bronx, but you'd be setting policy for the country. You see, Tina.
She does nothing but hang out with her elites, with her Marxist friends. She caters to them and she forgets about this district. And that's what's going to win the seat in November, is because we are the forgotten district because of AOC. Because we all know that she has a soft spot for Castro, for Maduro, all the communists and all the globalists around the country. She has a soft spot for all of them.
Yeah, this is going to play real good in the Bronx. Keep talking, Tina. People in the Bronx are going to be like, oh, you're against the globalists?
That is what's going to wake everybody up, and they're going to vote for me because I've spoken to so many people that are Democrats, and they want to support me, and they are going to support me, and they told me that they're going to vote for me. They're tired of it. Just look at our streets. She supported the very bail reform that has the criminals out on the streets.
Tina, do you think that we can look forward to a debate between the two of you?
I'll say right now, yes, I want to debate you, AOC. Bring it on.
If you're polling at like 65 or 70%, which I'm pretty sure AOC is, why would you debate Tina? Also, the bail reform, she supported it, but that's not her job. The bail reform, I believe, was New York State. So maybe she could run for the state assembly. I don't know if they have a state senate there. She could run for governor. She went for the mayor in New York. She wants to solve all these local problems. But no, this is a grift. She knows she's not going to win. She's just grifting. Grifting. And it's not a bad grift if you can get it. Here she is on the Roger Stone show on Mike Lindell's network.
Very high energy, because Roger, you know me. I'm going to take it right to AOC. Take it right to her. I called her out to debate me already. Debate me. I said, come on, AOC. AOC, the C stands for chicken. Let's go. I'm the real Bronx girl. I'm going to have it out with her. I want to be face to face with her, and I want to talk to her about what she's not doing and what she is doing, which is pushing her radical left agenda since the minute she used District 14.
So you don't actually, at like a candidates debate, you don't end up face to face with the other person. There's usually a part of the stage that belongs to you and a part of the stage that belongs to them, and you give each other physical space so that everybody can speak. I think she wants to fight AOC, which I don't think is good. I don't think she should be fighting AOC. After the election, though, wouldn't it be funny if she sees AOC walking down the street and just shoves her? That's a callback to something we don't cover anymore around here. Oh, man. So here's the person who beat Liz Cheney in the Republican primary for her House seat. I'm going to focus solely on what this person's saying. If anybody else wants to focus on anything else, feel free.
I think that what happened was with the raid, the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, I think what people realized is how really dramatically some of our institutions have gone by the wayside, how they're doing the wrong things. And I think that raid was a wake-up call, maybe to perhaps some independents who were sitting on the fence, who realized that we have a very thin line here between tyranny and freedom. And we've got to step up and we've got to push back and fight against this. So the Trump endorsement was absolutely fantastic for me. It obviously was very important in Wyoming. But the other thing that I think President Trump has done is he's also recruited very good candidates.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if this lady's crazy enough for that district to flip. But if you take a look into this lady, her name is Harriet Hageman. She's fucking out there, and there's some chance that district will flip to Democrat, and that district has been a pretty safe Republican district for quite some time, because she's just the crazy eyes and the fucking clown makeup aside, right? Like that lady, she just check her out, look into her, look at what she thinks she's going to do, look at what she believes the good policy would be. Take a look. Here's Rudy Giuliani. He's going to talk about unifying the Republican Party. And after that, if it loads, we'll get him talking about police reform.
And a couple of the real fighters, like Jordan, right? I mean, he's there right in the center, just like you and I would be. He's got the best instincts, I think, of all of them. But we're diffuse. And in a war, I mean, that's like they're attacking our main line and we're saying, oh, maybe they're not really. Let's go around over here.
Yes.
Let's go over here.
Yes.
Let's go over here. I'd rather
Yes.
go here. We've got to unite this party. And that's why Trump, being the voice, is so important. And that's why they want him out. The minute Trump says something, they might as well not have said anything. He becomes the voice for our movement. If he says this guy is putting out phony information, everybody forgets their little friends and they go right to Trump and they say, okay, what's the phony information? And that's why they are so afraid of Trump. He is, without any doubt, the most charismatic American politician ever.
I don't know about that. JFK seemed pretty charismatic by all accounts. And here's Rudy Giuliani talking about police reform. It's, exactly what you would think from a former law and order mayor of a big city.
Well, you can't use your gun. You can't touch anybody.
Right.
One of the reasons the cops are having a hard time, people think, oh, they're not strong. They're not allowed to touch you between here and here. They can't punch you. I had an uncle who was the most decorated police officer, except maybe for Bernie Carrick, 3 people down from the top of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Right.
Has 2 Navy awards. Great hero. My uncle had a knockout punch. All he had to do was blow it past you and you fell down.
Right.
he was 6'4", but you could be 6'4" and not have a knockout punch.
Right.
This guy my father was a boxer. My father taught him how to box. And this guy could put you down with 1 punch. Nowadays.
It's not the police's job.
Think of the people he didn't have to shoot because of that.
Right.
He didn't shoot anybody. He just whooped that ass. That's not good either, Rudy. I mean, I guess it's like a little bit of harm reduction, but I bet the guy also liked to shoot people. Or Rudy's telling you a tall tale, which is also possible. The guy tells a few tales, caught a few fish in his day. Here's Dennis Prager on the fucking Mike Huckabee show with the perfect response to, is America racist?
I want you to ask, because I do this all the time. So raise your hand if you don't have a leftist in your extended family. No hands go up. Yeah. Okay. So I said, ask them totally honorably. Just ask them this: do you think America is systemically racist? They'll say yes. Otherwise, they're not a leftist. And then say, so I'm curious, how do you explain 3 million blacks moving to America from Africa and the Caribbean in the last few decades? So now they may deny it, but you could say, look it up. And you give them a New York Times source, which to them is like giving a Christian or a Jew a biblical source.
Wait, what?
And so just say it's there. How do you explain? So either all of those 3 million blacks are stupid, or it's not true. There are only two possibilities. As I say, did any Jews move to Germany in the 1930s?
Yes.
Not one. As bad as it was for Jews in Eastern Europe, not one moved to Germany because Germany really was systemically racist.
Yeah.
But America is the land of opportunity for black Africans and black Caribbeans. That's the point. It is the land of opportunity for every race.
Absolutely.
So the answer that a leftist talking to one of Dennis Prager's listeners could give is, well, people move here because there's economic opportunity here. It does not mean that they are unaware of the discrimination that they might face here as a black person. They've just kind of weighed their options and decided, all things considered, they'll take their chances here with the discrimination because of the economic opportunity they perceive to be part of America. That's the answer. It's not that complicated, but it does involve like thinking about two or three things at once. And I know that's like not really the best. So I've been kind of waiting for this clip all night. I mean, I could have put it first, but I didn't put it first. This is Ben Shapiro. This is Lesbians on the Moon.
The equity agenda, by the way, was promised. I mean, Joe Biden promised that this is going to infuse every area of his administration, down to the stupidest parts of it. So this week, Artemis 1, which is supposed to be setting the stage for the attempt to reach the moon again. The Artemis 1 launch was canceled again, right? Scrubbed after an engine issue.
Okay.
According to CNN, the launch...
Like, that sounds good. Sounds like the quality control is happening.
NASA's historic Artemis 1 moon mission has been postponed after the team was unable to work through an issue with one of the rocket's 4 engines. Okay, but the really important thing is that when we do go to the moon, we have a lesbian on the moon. Lesbians on the moon.
Wait, what?
This is what we need. The moon. We have a lesbian on the moon. Lesbians on the moon. This is what we need. It sounds important thing is that when we do go to the moon, we have a lesbian on the moon. Lesbians on the moon.
That's pretty
funny. This is
funny.
what we need. It's like bad pornography. Anyway, here is Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, explaining that the key to space exploration is that we send up a diverse group of people to space. I don't know why that's the key to space exploration. I thought it would be, the most qualified people that we ought to send to space. We shouldn't actually, again, it's like they are just casting a movie. They're just casting a movie in their own minds.
So if we put together a group of the most qualified people, is he suggesting, without suggesting it, that they might not be diverse? That if we picked the most qualified people in every field, that they would all look the same? They would all be part of the same identity group? Because, I mean, he didn't say that. But if you were to kind of go down the road, he sort of pointed you down. That's where the road leads. So here we got two clips of Mr. Oz running for office. He is just doing a very bad job. Pennsylvania is like a 50-50 toss-up in a lot of ways. Not with Mr. Oz as the candidate. This seat is not a 50-50 toss-up. John Fetterman can just sit on his ass and not do anything and dunk on Mr. Oz on Twitter and win. And that's what he's doing. And here's why.
Hey, I've got a huge announcement.
Oh shit, there's an ad? Where the fuck did I get an ad? Whatever this product is, don't buy it. We got an ad and now the video's not going to play? Let's try this again. This is riveting radio.
Tell me a little bit about...
So awkward.
Dude, what are you doing? Why are you going to front that guy off for having high blood pressure in front of all those people?
Abortion.
Yes.
Well, that's his answer. He said yes. You asked abortion. He said yes.
Abortion.
Yes.
Well, is there a limit to it, or is there a time when women should be allowed to get an abortion, or should we ban it altogether?
So, as you all probably know, I'm pro-life, but I have 3 exceptions, and I spoke about them a lot in the primary. I'm a doctor. I appreciate the realities of taking care of people who are struggling. Don't get nervous.
I mean, I'd be nervous if I was like supporting this guy right now. Wouldn't you be nervous? You're like, this is the candidate.
So I think the life of the mother, rape, incest, these are problems that I think families should have the ability to deal with, and it's hard to expect the government to deal with that.
The guy said abortion, and his first answer was like, yes. I don't think Dr. Oz is pro-life. He's like going around trying to remind everybody that he was once a medical doctor by giving everybody the fucking testing the blood pressure of the people in the audience. Good job, dude. Here's the next one.
On November the 8th, when they walk into the ballot box, your friends are going to have to make a decision on one question. Here's that question. Are you happy with the way this country is headed? No. If the answer is yes, take their driver's license the way they shouldn't be driving. If the answer is, as you stated, no, which 70% of Americans agree with, then they should vote for the candidate for change.
But when you ask if the country's going in the right direction, 70% of people say no, but they don't all agree on why, how, what needs to change. There's probably 3 or 4 large factions of people inside that group of 70% of Americans who think the country's on the wrong path. I wouldn't be able to tell you what the factions are right now. I haven't thought about it too much, but I would imagine there are at least 3 factions, probably like 4. And so people use this as like a way to not really talk about policy and not talk about what's wrong or what they're going to do to fix it. There's like, something's wrong and I'm not currently in the government, so vote for me. But how the fuck am I supposed to know you're not going to make it worse? I think Mr. Oz will make it worse. So here's another clip from the Glenn Beck podcast. I did not know that Douche Bigelow, male gigolo, had a career, but apparently he's given up his career or something. I don't know.
Are you willing to lose it all for what you believe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have it, then we have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about my career anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I care about my children's.
Your agent doesn't either.
That they're going to live in. And my hope is this. My hope is a beautiful story from a chaplain in England. When the American flyers came over in the early days of World War II, when the American flyers came over this is like the dog days, 1942, late 42, when like their friends were getting blown out of the sky. They would go over on the bombers and half would come back, 2/3 would come back, but they were dying. And there was one particularly awful week, 2 weeks, where there was a very high percentage of these pilots were getting blown out of the sky and getting killed. And they went to the prison. They went to the.
Oh my God! This feels like forever.
The pilot said, "Why?" I said, "Our friends are dying. Why should we do this? Why should we get up tomorrow and fly?" They did this at like literally 4:45. It's supposed to leave 5:30. Why should we do this? Tell us why. They didn't say they weren't going to do it. So tell us why we should do this. Our friends are dying. Tell us. And the chaplain was really, woke up and said, well, humanity has come out of the dark ages. We've come out of where people get burned at the stake. People believe and go along with this. And there's a darkness that we have come out of and doing a more of an enlightened period, a more freer period. And he said, this is a step back into those darkness. These are the darkest parts of humanity. And we need to stand up for that now. And that requires this. So they all flew.
We are there again.
Yeah, and it requires a new set of flyers.
The guy's having a hard time acting thoughtful. Like, what the fuck was that? That was stupid. Like, why is Glenn Beck? I mean, whatever. Glenn Beck, nobody knows why Glenn Beck does what he does, but Douche Bigelow, male gigolo, is never going to have a career again. Not just because of his anti-vax bullshit. It's just like he wasn't really like a name and wasn't like really a big deal before. I don't know. I'll take his paychecks on his residuals and shit. Don't get it twisted. Like, his income is probably significantly higher than mine, even though he hasn't acted in a long time. Probably didn't do that Glenn Beck hit for free either, you know? And so it's really easy for a guy like him to be like, I'm giving it all up, because he ain't got no career. He's got the money. He's got residuals. I'm sure people are still watching old movies he was in, and he's getting checks. He's doing fine. He probably owns his house outright, got a couple cars. Hopefully he's not married. Hopefully he doesn't have kids. But he's not really giving up much of anything if he doesn't take another acting gig as long as he lives. He's probably going to be able to live an upper middle class life for the rest of his life off of what he got now. So it's not like he's really making a sacrifice. He's not going to be out there all alms for the poor, I don't think. So apparently somebody sold a fucking voting machine on eBay for $1,200, and Mike Pillow's got to be all over this. But here's a hit from CNN on it.
Harry, what's in the box?
That is a device which can be configured either be a voting machine, as a diary, or ballot marking device.
This box should not be here on Harry Hursty's kitchen table in Connecticut.
Yeah, I have been asked not to open it so that if it's a part of criminal investigation, it's preserved as evidence.
Hursty is an elections expert. He bought this voting machine for $1,200 on eBay.
As far as I was aware, it was a completely legal sale on my end.
The eBay seller is Ian Hudson, an Uber driver in Ohio. In your eBay ad, you wrote, Dominion ImageCast X voting machine from Michigan, own a piece of history. This voting machine was one of thousands used in the 2020 US presidential election. But how did an Uber driver in Ohio get his hands on a Michigan voting machine? He bought it from Goodwill online.
I saw a listing for what looked like just
this gets better and better
touchscreen computer. And I got to looking through the pictures, and in one of the pictures I saw in the bottom corner of the screen, it said Dominion Voting. So I just on a whim bid on it, and I was the only bidder, and I won the auction.
So how much did you pay for the voting machine?
I paid $7.99.
I'm really...
Damn, he came up.
I mean, $8. He made a good profit.
It turns out someone dropped the voting machine off at this Goodwill in northern Michigan.
Mike Lindell.
Who that person is remains a mystery, but the Goodwill put the voting machine for sale up on its website.
I wasn't even aware that they were supposed to be sold, let alone donated to Goodwill.
It is shocking that only when we started asking, does it belong somewhere? Only after that they realize it has been stolen.
They being the Michigan Secretary of State's office. One of Michigan's voting machines showed up on eBay.
Yeah. We immediately referred it to law enforcement.
Clearly it's raised some issues about the chain of custody and how these machines are secured.
We basically have 1,600 jurisdictions. Typically in between elections, clerks have the responsibility of securing all election equipment and protecting it from illegal attempts to access it by unauthorized individuals.
Michigan is one of several swing states where authorities are already investigating unauthorized access to voting systems by people who are trying to prove the false claim the 2020 election was stolen.
There is a nationally coordinated effort to try to interfere with our elections that's manifesting itself at the local level in incidents like these in Michigan. What you really have is individuals who don't seem to understand the technicalities of the elections process or election security, trying to gain access to machines to keep the misinformation alive.
What do you say to the voter who is skeptical, who's watching this and saying, they lost a voting machine in Michigan?
Well, a couple of things. One, Michigan's elections are secure. Before every election, we test every machine for accuracy. We've never seen, even with this unauthorized access to machines, any actual evidence of any challenges or wrongdoing or lack of security in the process.
Police now trying to figure out how that voting machine ended up here at this Goodwill in Cadillac, Michigan. And look, Goodwill telling us they process thousands of items every week here in northern Michigan. And it's not clear that Goodwill even realized that this actually was a voting machine when they posted it on its website. I mean, to the untrained eye, this kind of just looks like a big computer screen. Of course, lots of security concerns here, but Poppy, you'll never know just what you'll find at a Goodwill or on eBay.
Tony, once again, your reporting has my jaw on the floor. Thank you very much for that.
I think this just simply ended up in an e-waste pile. I think that's all that happened. It just ended up in an e-waste pile. And it got, I don't know if somebody working with the county or whatever dropped it off at Goodwill, or if they have an e-waste company that picks up stuff. Sometimes they drop things off at Goodwill. But this has to have just been incompetence. It's possible there was more to it, but I'm going to guess incompetence. And it just ended up in an e-waste pile. Not for nothing. There's nothing on that machine. There's nothing on it. You can't really, there's nothing useful to anyone on that machine, I don't think. Anyway, this will be our last story before we go on into the, I guess it's not even rather, light's been red the whole night tonight until we go on into the post game. There's an angry Texas mom. She wants schools to not teach about Gandhi because that's fucking CRT.
Texas. You refer to our flag, bluebonnets, and mockingbirds as significant symbols to a Texas community. No, these are emblems of identity and instill a sense of pride and connection with our home. What this version of TEACS offers to me looks a lot like socialism, like collectivism with no individualism. Build and teach first graders to build a foundation with solids and not adult concepts like the importance of collaborating with people of various cultures. How can a kid show respect for other cultures if he doesn't know his own? This revision seems to want to teach a first grader.
Ma'am, can I pause you for just a second?
Okay. This revision wants to teach a first grader who's still putting notes to the tooth fairy under her pillow about following Gandhi's lead to a peaceful protest. A first grader. CRT is already rampant and baked into our curriculum, and we don't want to be good little global citizens where our border is considered a military zone. I don't know what grade that was added into, but why? It's a border and it's good. Teach that. This is the land of the free, home of the brave. Be brave. Reject these TEACS. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So we've had testifiers come before you that actually could point to specific TEACS, point to specific language in the rule text that they're addressing. I would ask that people that come and testify, if you're going to refer to TEACS, be specific about what you're talking about so that we understand that you actually have a legitimate concern, or it's not something you're just hearing and reading and repeating. So you asked about
that's just something probably that they're hearing and
borders
repeating,
are
though.
good. I think that I guess I want to understand what of the history on how borders were created do you know about? What did you learn when you were in school?
I'm not an expert. I don't appreciate your belittling. I didn't hear with a PhD. I didn't come up here as an educator or somebody on one of these work groups. I'm coming up here as a parent. When my kids come home and they say, look what we did today in history class, and they say something like, which one of the Bill of Rights would you give up first? I'm sorry, that's leading the witness. No, I cannot find in the TEACS and the 300 pages, and these parents are confused and we don't know. So I'm sorry, I'm up here testifying because
understood.
we don't understand.
Understood, but
I know the result.
Well, but this is where I'm asking, and this is a genuine ask. If you're going to be concerned about something and you're going to bring up those concerns rather than speaking in absolutes, perhaps come and ask us questions about how this was developed or where it can be found, because we can help you with that and we can help clarify. And I'm not belittling, I'm just telling you, we have testifiers who've come and put a lot of hard work in researching their testimony and coming with us with solutions and questions when they don't understand something. And you just told our chair that you'd read it somewhere, you heard it, you don't know. And that is not a belittling. I'm just acknowledging what you have yourself said on the dais. And so my point in asking you the question about borders is that is a clear example of why we need the standards the way that they have been written, because this country did not always have borders. This country, we're sitting on stolen land. And so those are things that we have to understand.
Members, I'm sorry.
So, well,
Your
that
turn
isn't
or my
something.
turn? Because, okay.
That isn't something that's in the standards. But what is in the standards is understanding our indigenous roots and understanding how indigenous communities have been impacted and those sorts of pieces of our history are very important. And so, again, I ask, what do you remember about learning about Indigenous histories?
I don't remember very much about Indigenous histories. But to go back to the first long diatribe that you delivered, we parents quit our jobs. We left our careers, and we have gone to school board meeting after school board meeting, and we have spent hours and thousands of them ourselves trying to ask questions, as you suggested, begging for information. Where does this come from? What is the curriculum? Give us transparency. I'm here because the school boards won't answer. I'm here because our representatives on the state board don't answer emails. We need help. It's not going in a good direction. I'm sorry I can't answer your question about what I learned about Indigenous communities in the border. I know our border is open right now and thousands are flooding over.
Oh, it's such a, like, she talked to the wrong school board lady, because the school board lady was like, well, you heard this stuff? What do you know about these subject matters? Why are you, like, the question essentially is like, why are you here questioning the curriculum when you don't know anything about the subject matter? And that's a fucking valid question. It's not nice. It's a little condescending, but in case you haven't been around much, I'm a big fan of condescension when it's appropriate. Even sometimes when it's inappropriate, 'cause sometimes it's just funny to be condescending. And that lady, the school board, the person on the school board was not extremely condescending. They just weren't. They should have been more condescending. I think it would have been fun. So that's the pod, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out late with me this evening. Like I said earlier, if you're a podcast listener, you want to check out the live shows. The schedule's a little different this week. So check our Twitch page for the schedule, and you'll see things have been pushed back a little bit because it is going to be over 100 degrees almost every day this week. And so we have to push things back so that I can, in fact, do a show. Support this project at patreon.com/echoplex. You can get some swag at our swag shop at eplex.store. If you use code now-space, all capital letters, you get a little discount. And that's been our show for this week. I think we're going to call it There Are No Lesbians on the Moon or some shit like that. As always, this is Boomers by Periscope, and I'll be back with a slightly different kind of drink than I have right now.
You recall
Hey, everybody, we got a brand new swag shop. It's powered by Fourth Wall, and it's really great. It's at eplex.store. That's EPLEX.store. Hopefully you find something there you like. I'm partial to the one with Jordan Peterson and Jesus.